Hello, art parents. Welcome to another year. I'm so excited to get back into the classroom. A lot of you have done art literacy before, so you kind of know how it works. But for those of you who are new, welcome. You are going to have so much fun doing this. It is so fun to the kids get so excited when they see you coming with the art card. It's such a great experience. So to get us started, I wanted to run you through kind of how I would do a lesson. And the thing that's really important to keep in mind is the age of your students. You'll want to really tailor this to, to their ages, to their attention span. So for kindergartners, I'm really only going to give a few facts about the artist, and then we'll move on to the project. For first and second graders, maybe, we'll discuss them for maybe like 5 minutes. And then as they go up from there, you can add a little bit more information as you feel comfortable and as you kind of see that they have the attention for. If you feel like you're losing them, wrap it up and move on to the project. Most of all, don't get stressed. This isn't a test. You don't have to remember the dates. That's really not important. I feel like it's best to give them an idea of the context of when this artist lived, but don't stress out too much. This is meant to be fun. So there'll be a bullet point sheet on the art cart with quick glance facts about the artist that you can refer to. But like I say, read through the lesson, and really the stuff that sticks out to you and is interesting to you is probably the stuff that the students are going to want to hear. So let's run through kind of like a kindergarten speed, and then from there you can add in more and discuss more as you feel comfortable and as you feel the students are good for. A couple of years ago, I taught for Miss Weiss, and she would give me an hour and a half for our lessons because she knew we'd always end up having these great discussions, and she felt like it was worthwhile, so we just went for it. So really, those sixth graders, they can handle a bit more, and they kind of enjoy learning about it, which is great. And so you'll get a feel. You'll get a feel for what works best. Okay, so if I'm teaching in kindergarten, this is kind of how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to say this is Frida Kahlo, and she lived quite a while ago. She was born over 100 years ago, which is kind of crazy, right? Kind of a long time. She lived in Mexico, and Frida had a lot of really hard things she went through in her life. She had polio as a little child, which affected her legs. She lived during the Mexican Revolution. When she was 3 years old, the Mexican Revolution started. And she describes having to run home because there's gunfire in the street, and they had to hurry and get home and get to safety. And probably the hardest thing in her life was when she was a teenager. She was in a really bad bus accident. A bus hit a trolley, and she was in the hospital for 3 months after that, but then off and on throughout her life. And she'd have to spend a lot of time kind of immobilized, laying in a hospital bed. And during that time, her parents brought her paints so that she had something to do, and she started to paint. And Frida painted a lot of self-portraits. Out of her about 140 works that she did, over 50 of them were self-portraits. And she said that's because she painted what she knew. She knew herself. But what's interesting about Frida's self-portraits is that they don't just show Frida. And as you can see, they show Frida really well. It looks like Frida. But they also show what she's feeling and what she's thinking and what she's dealing with. So, you look at something like this, and she's got vines growing out of her. What do you think that means? What do you think she's trying to tell us with this piece? And it's great. My favorite thing to do is to really talk the students through the questions you ask yourself and the process you go through when you're viewing a piece of art. And it kind of gives them that, it just models and teaches them how to look at art and to figure out what their response is and how they feel based on it. Here's a portrait that Frida painted with one of her surgeons. And she says that he saved her life. Dr. For real. She said he was a savior to her. So she's painting, but look, her heart is on her palette. What do you think that means? How does this make you feel when you look at it? How do you think you would feel if you were in Frida's shoes? A lot of Frida's works have some pretty graphic symbolism. She uses the human heart and veins a lot, which kind of, I feel like, kind of gives us Halloween vibes just a little bit. So it's a good choice for October, right? But it's good to focus on, what do you think that symbolism could mean? Why do you think she likes to use hearts in her paintings? I love this one. Look, Frida's heart is not there. She's got kind of a pole that's tying her between. This dress is like a Frida dress for grown-up Frida. And this is her school uniform from when she was a little girl. And look, they're kind of all linked together. They've got blood vessels going to each other. And then her heart is down here. What do you think that means? What does this make you feel? And a good thing to teach the students is there are no right answers. Tell me what you like about this. What don't you like? Why is this interesting? Why do you think Frida has two Fridas tied together through their hearts? That's kind of crazy, right? What does that make you think? Do you ever feel like there are two of you? Do you think this could be two different sides of Frida? What do you think she's trying to say with this? And then after you've talked about the paintings for a little bit, you're going to move on to our project for today. So for today, we are going to do self-portraits, and you can do a self-portrait close-up of your face. You can make it as realistic as possible. You can do more like some of these self-portraits that we saw Frida and get more of your body and maybe more of the things that make you who you are. So if you're super into soccer, maybe you want a soccer ball son up in the corner, or maybe you want to be riding your bike or dancing or whatever. Maybe you want to be with your art like Frida is here. Like you can tell that Frida is an artist in this one with Dr. Faroon, right? She's got her paints and her palette. So we'll have mirrors on the art cart so that you can take a look at yourself. And I like to walk the students through when you're doing a self-portrait, it's good to not get too stressed out about keeping it perfect. So I walk them through, like, look in the mirror, notice in the mirror how your hairline is maybe a little bit different shape. Like, look, mine's really like it's kind of a straight part right here, and then it curves around, and it's not very straight over here. It's kind of curvy over here. Okay, that's something that makes me kind of me. I can put that on there. And what you want to do is just keep your pencil strokes pretty light, because the watercolor, if you press too hard, it doesn't look as good with the watercolor. The graphite kind of mixes in and it doesn't look as good. So I'm going to give myself a basic kind of head, ovally egg shape. But I'm going to kind of keep in mind that, my jaw kind of comes out. It's not a perfect oval. There's kind of an angle here. And I, kind of this little bump for my chin. Kind of talk them through that. One thing I always like to talk to students about is a lot of times when students draw people, they put the eyes clear up here. So let's get maybe that's a little too thick there. Sorry, can you even see it? Yeah, you kind of can. Okay, so a lot of times kids try to put eyes up here. Have you seen that? That's crazy sauce, right? Where is their brain gonna fit in here? So what we wanna do is we wanna kind of divide our face into thirds. And if you want to, you can even make a super light line. So see how I've divided that into thirds? And we're gonna put our eyes here, and they're kind of football shaped usually. You can kind of look and see, do yours point a little bit more at the ends? Are they more round? So we're gonna give ourselves some eyes. And it's usually like about an eye and then an eye space in between. And then we're gonna give some eyebrows, and my eyebrows kind of point up. So I'm gonna make those points. And then I like to pick one side and put the ridge of my nose. And then I'm going to, an easy way to do noses is to make kind of this little bump you've got here. So make a little flat U. And then you can kind of put the nostrils on each side. And I always like to tell students, you know what? Don't stress out about noses too much. Noses are kind of ugly, huh? They're hard to draw and they're kind of ugly, but it looks even weirder if you don't put a nose. So just do little lines that give you the suggestion. You don't need to stress about it too much. And then I'm gonna put my lips down on that other third line, and I'm keeping it really light right now because look, you can tell I'm gonna have to do some fixes, huh? This does not look very much like me, but I can kind of chisel in my cheekbones just a little. And this chin is way too big, so it's good that I drew light. I can erase it and make it a little bit smaller. That's gonna look better, right? Maybe I'll give myself some eyeballs because you look kind of weird without. That'll kind of help. And then I've got all my brain room up here. I can add some hair on top. And I like to tell the students that we use tickle lines when we draw. We just tickle the paper really lightly. We don't press hard at all. We just want to tickle it. And that helps them to not like dig in and really make those dark, super concentrated marks that they sometimes do. And then once I've got my self-portrait ready to go, we've got watercolors on the art cart. Some of them have obviously been used before, and that's totally fine. And then there are also some new ones. I love to use up these ones that have been used before. So if you can, use these up. And if they're starting to look empty, if they're more than half empty, go ahead and just check them, and we'll move on to the next batch. Please don't hesitate to let me know if you have any questions or need anything. I hope things go super well. This is a fun project. Easy to do. Don't get stressed out too much. We're just here to have fun. It's a great thing. Thanks so much.